everyone can turn to page 7, please. In the Buddha's Dharma and Sangha, until enlightened I seek refuge, through merit from giving and the rest. To aid all may I become Buddha. In the Buddha's Dharma and Sangha, until enlightened I seek refuge, through merit from giving and the rest. To aid all may I become Buddha. In the Buddha's Dharma and Sangha, until enlightened I seek refuge, through merit from giving and the rest. To aid all may I become Buddha. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings never be parted from sorrowless bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from bias, attachment, and hatred. To the founder, endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer of the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer of the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, subduer of the Shakya clan, prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme among humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise then, I prostrate. With pure bodies, form supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best law, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust free like you, the 3 worlds are not. Incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The saving, having great compassion, the founder, having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean. To you, the one gone to thusness, I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dharma that pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, the all 3 ever devout homage. To all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms, atoms in all aspects, with supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a mirage, the flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the foe of faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. From Tushita's hundreds of gods, protectors hot, to tip of this fresh, pure white, keep good like cloud. O Losangrakpa, Dharma's omniscient king, pray come to this place with your disciples. In space ahead on light. Pray stay hundreds of eons to spread doctrine as supreme merit field for my mind of faith. Your wisdom nine seas, full range of knowables. Your eloquent speech adorns fortunate ears. Your beauteous body, fame, glory, outstanding. Homage to you, worthwhile to think of, hear and see. Pleasant offerings of water, various flowers, fragrant incense, light, perfume, and so on. Oceans of offerings set out and envisioned, offered up to you, supreme field of merit, non-virtue committed with body, speech, and mind, which I have heaped up since beginningless time, especially what has contradicted three vows. Each I confess from my heart with strong regret. In time of strife you strove to learn and practice, shunned eight mundane concerns, made life essence full. O protector from depths of our hearts, we rejoice in your powerful great deeds. Venerable gurus from love and wisdom, clouds densely massed in your Dharma kaya sky, pray loose a rain of vast profound Dharma on fields of disciples just as needed. May whatever virtue that I've here gathered bring benefit to all beings and doctrine, and may it make Venerable O Sangha's essential teachings specially shine forever. Mit se wer der chen raising, dream kien pei wang po jam pel yang, du pung ma lu jom de sang wei dak, gang chen ke pe zu gen zong ka pa, lo zang dra pe jap na so wa de. O glorious and precious root guru, pray take seat of lotus on my crown, caring for me with your great kindness. Bestow attainments of body, speech, and mind. O glorious and precious root guru, pray take seat of lotus at my heart. Bring for me with your great kindness. Bestow attainments common and supreme. O glorious and precious root guru, pray take seat of lotus at my heart, caring for me with your great kindness, until supreme awakening remains steadfast. Homage to the exalted three jewels. Thus I have heard at one time the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajagriha on Vulture Mountain, together with a great assembly of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas. At that time the Blessed One was absorbed in a concentration of the countless aspects phenomena called profound illumination. At that very time the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, was looking perfectly at the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, perfectly looking at the emptiness of inherent existence of the five aggregates also. Then through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said to the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, how should a child of the lineage train who wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom? Thus he spoke, and the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, replied to the Venerable Shariputra as follows. Shariputra, whichever son or daughter of the lineage wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom should look perfectly like this. Subsequently, looking perfectly and correctly on the emptiness of inherent existence of the five aggregates also. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like this, all phenomena are empty. That they are not produced and they do not cease. They have no defilement and no separation from defilement. They have no decrease and no increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visible form, no smell, no sound, no taste, no object of touch, no mental phenomena. There is no I element and so forth up to no mind element, up to no element of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance and no cessation of ignorance and so forth up to no aging and death and no cessation of aging and death. Likewise, there is no suffering, no origin, no cessation and no path, no exalted wisdom, no attainment and also no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there is no attainment, Bodhisattvas rely on and abide in the perfection of wisdom, and because their minds have no obstructions, they have no fear. Passing utterly beyond error, they attain the final state beyond sorrow. All the Buddhas who reside in the three times by relying upon the perfection of wisdom become manifest and complete Buddhas in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the equal to the unequaled mantra, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, since it's not false, should be known as the truth. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is proclaimed. Dayata gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhi soha. Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva, a great being, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom. Then the Blessed One arose from that concentration and said to the superior Avalokiteshvara, Bodhisattva, the great being, well said, O child of the lineage, so it is. The profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced exactly as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shariputra, the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, and the entire assembly, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, demigods, Gandharvas, and others, were filled with admiration and highly praised what had been spoken by the Blessed One. In that holy supreme abode, the Dakinis, possessed of clairvoyance and miraculous power, unwaveringly caring for practitioners as your children, homage to the host of the three blessed Dakinis. Akasamarata Dayata Omgate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Soha. Through the power of truth and the exalted three world speech, may all the side of negativity such as the four maras be stopped. May they become non-existent. May they become pacified. All eminence obstructors and hindrances, Shanti Kuriya Soha. The 80,000 type of obstructions pacified, free from adverse, harmful conditions. May all the conducive and perfect auspiciousness bring happiness and well-being here, right now. Saji Poki Jukshing Meheto Traham Ri Rohab Lingji Ni De Gen Padi Sangye Jindu Mekte Owar Gidro Kunamdak Jingla Jopashok Zetsuhun Lama Dampa tampe dulce sin ma lazab ye choki jahar pawab tu so idam guru ratna namamakam niryatayami Jonam choke jonam la janshu badu dagni kyapsu chi dagi junyen gipe sunam ki drola penchi sange dropa sho Jonam choke jonam la janshu badu dagni kyapsu chi dagi junyen gipe sunam ki drola penchi sange dropa sho Jonam choki jonam la janchu badu dagni kyapsu chi dagi junyen gipe sonam ki drola penche sange dropa sho.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Today is not same as yesterday. Yeah. Yeah, yesterday is very good. Anyway, now I think we are almost get out from snow. Hopefully. Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Wednesday, Thursday.
Oh, really? Oh. Also not too much, maybe. Anyway, very glad to see you, all of you. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you. Then, today we have talked about refuge. Then, also there's some people want to take the refuge. Usually, we are Buddhism, our Buddha's teaching, Buddha's advice for, we're not allowed to people to say, you have to take refuge, you have to take refuge, we say people in the interest, they will like to take refuge. They will like to become Buddhism, their own choice. We not push for the people to taking refuge. Then even you study Buddhism, then you take refuge or not, up to you. For example, the refuge is we're taking refuge for Dharma, Sangha. Then when we took the refuge, then we are complete Buddhism, whoever takes. If you don't take the refuge, then if you study, it's okay, up to you, there's nothing wrong. But you are not real Buddhism. You cannot say I'm Buddhism. You can say I'm studying in the Buddhism. For example, we come to US, we stay maybe 20 years. You don't get the citizenship. You're not saying I'm citizen, right? If you stay 20 years. Then you're the citizen, they say, I'm American. Like that. And the refuge is the passport for Buddhism. Then, we actually pray the text. We always take the refuge. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, always we reciting. This text talk about the refuge and bodhicitta. The fourth two lines talk about the refuge. Now we have to a little bit explain to what quality Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and what benefit if you're taking refuge. We have to talk about a little bit that. Then, even Buddha said, very important you have to, whatever I teach, not just accept whatever I say. You have to your investigation. What I say, you can check, it's true or not, it makes sense or not. He give for us the permission, then we can check logically, reasonably, Therefore, Buddha himself is also same as us, 2,500 years. He born in India. It's not India, it's Nepal, I think so. It's Lumine. Then same as us. First he get married. He's also king of the king's son. Then he has also one son. And after he saw a lot of problems, problems all the time, same as us. We have a lot of problems, right? If we have something fixed today, something going wrong tomorrow. Always we have some stock there. The suffering means unwanted things happen for us. This is suffering. Suffering means you don't need to cut your leg, no need to cut your finger, Unwanted things happen. This is the suffering. Is correct? Unwanted. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. We have a lot of things happen, right? We don't want to, for example, we don't want to go old, but every day we're getting old, right? Yes. We don't want to sick. We got sick, right? We don't want to die. We will die. We don't want to lose our very loved ones. We lose it. Right? This has happened. This is normal. Then, we don't want to, many things, many things, Therefore, any unacceptable things happen. This is we call suffering. Then Buddha saw there are a lot of things. Then he taught to, is it possible to get from all of them? It's not. Then he meditation, 6 years. Not same as us. We made meditation maybe 5-10 minutes. Then we got tired. Right? Then fall asleep. He meditation 6 years. Then he achieve enlightenment. Then he come out. Then he teach for whatever he experienced. Yes.
If he was in a royal family, what made him curious to go? He walked among the common people and realized that there was suffering.
코 자세히 만나 아니 코다 잡으시니 그래 공참점도 그랬어. 아니 그 미나가요와 개가요와 희가요와 그나 통화했어.
So when he was just a prince, and he was locked in the palace, right? So his father didn't want him to see any problem out there, which would encourage him to go into into meditations and things like that. So but he expressed his desire to go out so that he will come to know about his kingdom, his subject, all these things. And the king agreed on that. And when he went out, then that's when he saw all these people going through those kind of sufferings of sickness, suffering of death and so forth. So that's when then he realized that there was so much suffering there.
Okay. When we just meet new people, we don't see that our problem, right? We just talk nice things, good things. We talk more problems, and then it start everybody has, I have this problem, and like that. When he go out inside the kingdom, he doesn't see the much things going on, but go out, there are a lot of problems. Therefore, he said, okay, I don't want. Then he skipped a night, from the palace. Then he do meditation. Then, anyway, after he realization, whatever he experienced, then he teach for us. And he said, okay, this is my experience. You check it's true or not. It makes sense or not. Like that, then this is a start Buddhism or it's a like Buddhism teaching. Then I think I can now switch my broken English. Otherwise. 근데 이제 다 나도 아니 다 남중아 좀 되는데 봐 주소나 산지 주소 소진 초놈 나와서야 되겠다. 특되게 점도 된게 그래서
And so the first verse of prayer that we recite at the center, at the beginning of the teachings, in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge and attain enlightenment. So that two line, shows the refuge.
근데 이제 다 된지가 나도 다 잡주사가 짜요. 아니 산지 건축 주께죠. 그래서 다 숨이 와 말이지.
And so those are the three objects of refuge, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, in whom we take refuge.
아니 빼자야나 다들 숨이 오고 가는데 사는 배는 나도 지금 나와야나 멤버지 아니 매지 안 내고 다 무슨 상고도 와서 내들 좋아라.
And so the reason why we need these three objects of refuge in order to be free from the suffering completely, so one or two can do, just to be free from small kind of suffering, but to be free from all the sufferings, you need all these three. So just like if someone is very, very ill, very severely ill, not just headache or something like that, you can rely on some kind of medicine or just doctor, right? But if you're really ill, where you cannot even get out of a bed, so that kind of to treat that kind of patient, you need all these three. You need a doctor who can diagnose the disease, and you need the medicine which can cure, and you also need a nurse who can help the person to get out of the bed, go around, or take the medicines and so forth. So that's why we need these three objects of refuge.
근데다가 상지세디 나도 백개라 특녀 상지세 특녀고 그래서 아니 상세디 다 뇽모바 저바 차살이 상와스 그래와 텔레 타와스 그래와 상 제세디 아니 시잘라 로드 잡아스 마리바다 미시바 다 찌잠에 봐서 그래와 상바 제바스.
So when we say Buddha, Buddha is a fully enlightened being. So when we say fully enlightened, that means he who knows everything, right? So he who knows everything, fully enlightenment. There isn't anything that he or she doesn't know. So he or she who knows everything, is called fully enlightened. And so how you become fully enlightened is by clearing all the obstructions and all the delusions and all the obscurations that obscure you from knowing it, right? So in Tibetan, the word we use for Buddha is Sangha, which means someone who is fully enlightened by removing all the obstacles and all the obscurations.
어디나 상제스 아니 된리가 상제 달라다 간도 쪼야기 니바요레 들어 니바.
And so that kind of Buddha, a person who is fully enlightened, who we call a Buddha, has the power to protect us from the sufferings.
다 간대여서나 간주 단다 마리바 메시베 왕기 다 간주 다 내가 마부 제니체네 간주 누가냐데 그래서.
So the reason why we go through all these sufferings is because of not knowing, because of not knowing. We do so many things, without knowing, thinking that this is how we'll achieve happiness, but we end up achieving suffering. It's because of not knowing the right way to do. So it all falls into the ignorance.
그냥 간주 그러나 수다 소소 조보 조모 비미잖아 고로산이 조금만 더 와서나 바주나 투주나 간지 간도 고로산에 전에 쇼도 와서.
So another example, like we don't want to, fight, or we don't want to get angry with our loved ones, like parents or siblings and so forth. But out of anger and out of some reason, we become angry with them and we hate them and so forth, right?
근데 간도 전에 쇼트에서 하는 간도 고로 마시던 간도 세마 찍으면 더 와서.
And so we say those kind of bad things or do those kind of bad things out of anger. So when the anger is subsided, when it's gone, then we feel bad, right, for saying those things or doing those things.
근데서 간주가 된대기 소소고 만데 동안 용기바 미시니 아니 간주 딸 내가 뭐 제니체가 그래서 놀게 그래서.
And so without knowing the things in a right way, then we make all these different kind of mistakes.
어때나 사제세 되게 니바 요래 가니 요나 그거 응부가 내서 신주 말로 받다 신기요래 하고 요래서.
And so the proof, or the reason why Buddha has that power to protect us from the suffering, is because he is fully enlightened. So he knows exactly how things are, and he can show us that.
그리고 밤에 그 부글라야 랍작거리 자고요. 로종간이 되고 자송다 밤마다 경기 신기원자 다 보다야 보시냐 전부 자주요.
So because the teacher and the parents know what will be a good thing for the child to learn, and then by teaching the child, then child will grow up into a good person, right?
그리고 된대그 냠뇨 명예지가 아니 나도 가게 신마로 왔어.
So the child becoming or growing up to be a good person depended on is through the power of parents and teachers' good advice, right?
그리고
And so if you don't have that knowledge, then you will not be able to make that child grow into a good person.
그리고 배차잖아 전소 바와 아마 싸와 장이지 말나 담보주도 뭐 간이 있냐고요. 또 간이 되고 주선 로종 맞는 냠뇨 매도 신경 말로 왔어.
And so for a new parents, because they don't have the experience, if they don't have the knowledge, then they will not know how to raise a child, right? They don't know how to feed, what to feed, and so forth, right?
그래서 던소 로종 차선 제고도 던소 신에네 다 보냐 보냐 돈도 왔어.
And you have to learn all these things, right? So how do you feed the child, what you feed and what you should not feed, and all these things you have to learn about it. And then you'll be able to, take care of the child and help the child to grow, right?
그리고 근데나다 산지세야 되겠다 지 야가다 누가 의분에서 신정말로 봐다 챙겨와 신경하고 요래서.
And so just like that, Buddha, who is a fully enlightened being, he knows exactly what things are, how things are, and what will be the best way, to free the beings from suffering.
아니 강사기 삼바다 무발라 때내다 주송교로 들어와.
And because he knows, he is omniscient, he knows everything, then he can teach exactly and according to the person's mentality, dispositions, and that will fit for them. That will be fit for them.
그래서 고랑기 마시바였나 나도 남도엔 더고 말아 왔어. 정말로.
So this is obvious, right? That if he doesn't know, then he will not be able to show us the path, right?
그러와. 어디지? 다 고난 유몰에 참여와있나 나도 유몰에 자기가 답이 않고 소도고 말했어.
And also, if he is not free from all those obscurations, then he will not be able to help us, to free us from those obscurations.
So, 나도 추연을 첫째 마시게 지금 아니 첫째 마시게 지 티너나 니가 냠도 전화 마사려 맞다. 콘도 로조 통거 말아 왔어.
And so, just like the example, if a person who doesn't know how to swim, were to, go with somebody who doesn't know how to swim, they both will drown, right?
Right. 근데자 람가 딱 나도 랍데나 개견하라고. 랍다 개견 코랑기 차선 신해지고 나도를 딱 로종 차선 맞게 도도 와.
And of course, also has to be, a teacher who teaches us in a school, in a college, has to know about those things, right? If he doesn't know, then he will not be able to give us any knowledge about those subjects.
와, 근데다 다 산제 세대기 코란 요모반데 딱 나도 짜게 가르쳐 그래. 나도 코와다 녀송 그 등알이 쪼로치 있어. 나다 텔 등아데 냐녀 조금도 텔 로바치로 시나도 다잡 조여 봤어.
And so when we take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we take refuge in them to protect us from the suffering. So we say, I don't want to experience any of these sufferings, and so please protect me from having to experience these sufferings. And so therefore we take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha.
그냥 고위 등아 단당가서 지 다 참으려 제네 단다바 참으려 자자 가는데 되는 고위 등아를 라고 그러더라고.
And so when we say taking refuge, that's seeking help, seeking help to help us to be protected from those sufferings. So all the sufferings that we experience in this life, from the time we were born until now, everything that's samsaric suffering.
그러와. 아니 녀송 등아 세다 가서 다 녀송 맨날 되는 등아로. 나도 등으로 있잖아. 등아 가져도 다 되는 등아만 보여 그러더라고.
And then also there are particular sufferings of the lower realms, the three lower realms. Like animal, So if we are born and as an animal, then how much suffering we'll have, of being born as an animal.
어떤데 산지에 세대 다 고난 뜻도 자상다 탈성가. 고난게 시제내로 신청 말하면 챙겨다 나도 좁에 내봐요. 그래서 놀랍고 그래서.
And so Buddha is free from all these sufferings, the general sufferings of the cycle existent and the particular sufferings of the three lower realms. Therefore, he has the power to protect us from these sufferings.
그러나 산지에 세대 나도 좁에 내봐요. 그랬다 전세 시여서 들어와.
And so there are 4 reasons, why Buddha has the power to protect us from the sufferings.
Tena rani ngazu chobgoda kare ngarazo tan jikpa. Ta mandobe dongale ngazu chobgo was.
And so what we have to be protected from, is from the sufferings, the undesirable things, right?
Teresa Sanjay said, ngazu chobe nibara karna, Koran jikpa tadale torsares, Koran jikko the chiyo mares.
So the Buddha can help us to be free from those sufferings because he's free from all those sufferings. He doesn't have to have any fear of having to experience these sufferings.
Koran jikpa tormena ya sajak shok kajela chob kajela ya sozo ta Koran jikpa ta shene ta ngazu chob to maras. Tende mares Koran jikpa tadale torbares.
He's free from all the fears, all the sufferings. If he is not free from some of the sufferings or some of the fear, then we will not be able to protect us from those that he's not free from.
And jen jikpa tadale torbe tablan kebares, tab keboshara yores.
So not only he is free of all those sufferings, but he's also very skilled in the means to free others from sufferings.
But ngazu ne politics jenge mido mig semba kugale pe tabshin kebado was.
So just like the politicians, they are very good in the means to attract the people, right?
Right. They say very nice things from the people. If you vote me, then I will change whole things. It's not possible one person, right? But it's very capable was.
But they're very skilled, very skillful.
But na sanji chumde ne shashi wena kala ya ne michi ya kona ke pawa ma sa shawa maresro.
So during the time of the Buddha Shakyamuni, one person had killed his parents.
Ani ta ko pe mezube ke ta njoba chikange chide kola ne sanji chumde sa sanji sa pene chine ta josu ne sanji keo mars ane pada ma seja sa lapshores ken ko seya des keo marse kaje ko semti de ma ane kalen jaya da kola dunga manyo chide ko chi kanye modo sheba resro.
And so later, this person realized, that was a grave mistake, that he made, and he was filled with very strong remorse, and he went, to talk to Buddha. So he said, I did so bad things that now I cannot live anymore. I should kill myself. So that was the kind of expression that he was giving, and Buddha skillfully said, oh no, you don't have to worry, about having killed your father, your mother. The father and mother are to be killed. They should be killed, So father and mother to be killed. So at that time, Buddha said that, with the skillful means, to bring that person into Dharma and into not committing suicide and like this.
Ro. Ene 들리지나 ene 산지가 로종 때네. ene 슈마쿠 다 파마세야서 야보 많이 바하고는 산지라 계시죠. 저랑 같은 누마된 되게 된 누구만도 와서 팔로 저 때 말에 저랑 뒤가 파마세야 돼. 다 녀모게 파마. 아니 가로. 내차다 셰다는 다 되니라. 대 내차다 셰다니로 다 녀모 관계가 빠와 막 선로 해서. 레다 녀모니 아니 샘지 녀모 관계가 빠와다 막 선로 다 되니라 고 말해서. 근데 된다 되니라 해나요. 거기서 될 거래서 아니 거 로저더니 근데 그거는 다른도 삼네. 다그 된다 하고 그래서.
And so at that time, by saying that, then that made him feel not very bad and stop him from committing suicide. But as he studied more, and then of course he realized, he will understand that it's not okay to kill your own parents, your father and mother. And then so he went to check with Buddha again, and then Buddha said, I meant the father and mother. Here, the father and mother who gives birth to all the sufferings. So then father and mother here is referring to the karma and delusion. The karma and delusion that gives birth to all the sufferings, all the life, the samsaric life is karma and delusion. So whatever we have is all through the karma and delusion. Therefore, so the parents are referring to that. So then he realized that, that is the parent that has to be killed. So those parents which give suffering and which give birth to these sufferings has to be killed. And so those kind of example, so we might have just said, oh no, that was so bad, and then made the person even feel more worse, right? But Buddha very skillfully, turned the person around to not commit suicide and so forth. So that's how he's very skilled in freeing others from sufferings and fear. And
이제 전부 일이 뭐 나와래스 두지 전부 일이 뭐 나와래스 자산라.
And so then the third is that he is free from all the sufferings, and he is skilled in the means to free others from suffering, and he has compassion towards all beings, whether they have helped him or harmed him.
아니 알아서 소송은 파래와 잡아이나 아니 사지응원이 다지 일이 전에 요 말이 자산라 딱 그래서 하는 거로.
So without any bias, right? So if we rely on a Buddha, take refuge in the Buddha, then Buddha will protect, no matter who we are.
그냥 간소라 즉 간소 로파 제가 탑즉 니바로 요아이나 수수 가사야사만 수수 막가사 제가 말로 와서.
So in our case, if we have the power to help somebody, then we'll usually help those who we feel close with, right? We will not help those who are not close to us.
어떻게 빼나 님에게 다 님에 거죠. 님에 걸라치 다 니레 말은 너무 가와나 샤르거 와서.
Just like the rays of the sun doesn't have a sense of bias, right? It will shine on anything.
그거 다 가서 강바되는 님아 샤면도 가르쳐서나.
So if it doesn't have bias, then why it is not shining in here, in this house?
그거 다때 님에 쩌려다 님 강백은 갭되게 쩌는나.
So whose fault is this? Is it the house or the sun?
그거
Ours, because we built the house.
Yes, the sun.
like that one when they have the shutter the holes or hole to know 그래서 님아 마셔와디 코로나 대요 있지 그 님아 까샤면 님의 거는 가데 샤면서 그게 샤기 내게 샤면서 랍사요 말어.
So the sun will not reach the shadows, right? The shadow is where there's blocked by things, so this, because it is blocked by that thing, therefore the sun cannot shine on that. It's not that sun didn't want to shine on that.
어떤다 산제세디 딱 semchi chasala kila nyirimi pa ngawari kangal chiba chichanta kare tasu chibares.
And so it's the same with the Buddha. So Buddha has same feeling, same compassion, and the same amount of compassion towards all beings, no matter who they are, without any sense of bias. But if they don't seek refuge in him, then there's no way he can help.
대체 다 가상. 단에 에네 시바디 팬따 마다 탐지지 된다 그래서 뭐 코로나 팬 도나 마다나 가르치는 마 차달라 팬대고 로봇이 그래서.
So he has compassion towards all beings, and then the fourth one is that he will help, no matter who they are, whether they have helped him or harmed him.
그러와 어떤데 이자 아니 다 저걸 그 밴드다 수송이 치락 생무도서 같이 점점로 눈치 봐야 되나 이거. 강하실라는 예박금 강하라 예박해게 때내와 망하시 있어. 또 예박치는 명예기 강사되라스. 아, 되니 강사들라 간데 전화라 셈스 요가 있나? 전화라 니바 있나? 다 강하실라나 예박은 때내와 뭐냐게 되냐라는 샵슨 로스. 다가지 텔레 잡는 거 그래서 아니라 잡는 거 그래서 그래서.
그래서
다가 밴드들 강하실라는 예박은 다 예박치는 명예기 아니 강사고 잡텔라 아니 나바다게 잡든 거래 같이 전화라 셈지였나 아니 바주 코랑 뇽모다 시에도 차단을 트러스트 칭이 시제들로 저는 칭에게 산지 될라 딱 잡는 거래 같이 전화 셈지였나 되니라 잡는 거래.
So one of the masters from India, I don't remember the name, but in his teaching on it's called 70 verses of refuge, 70 verses on taking refuge. In that it said, so if you have a mind or if you have any sense, then you should take refuge in the being who is free from all the sufferings, all the faults. So who has no obscurations, no obstructions at all. So if you have a sense, if you have a mind, then you should take refuge in such kind of being.
아니 제신세도 아니 저거 더부도 저다 잡고 문에다 말해 잡고 이 말해 송아서 좀 좋아라.
And so in some kind of religions, they worship to the rocks and to the trees and so forth. So that cannot be an object of refuge because they will not be able to protect you from the entire sufferings.
그리고 아니 간도 너야 그런데 타와서 뇽모발에 자와들 타와서 된다고 여러와서 어떤 데야 돼?
So what we want, is a complete liberation, right? So complete liberation from the suffering. So in order to have that, we have to be completely free, from all the delusions and the karmas.
근데다 산지 주다 겐데 타완도 봐 남지 잡았어 그래서
And so also, so if we wish to have a liberation, then Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha are the object of refuge.
도치 다 빼잖아. 다 자가가 뺀다더니 송을 들어와. 어디치더네. 오다 간지 니바더니 니바 첨보인 말에 들어와.
And so those are the powers, the potential that Buddha has, that enables him or her to protect us from all the sufferings.
대대다 다 상제사가 추송거리. 추송하되 다 올라와서 냠낸다. 먹이죠. 스름도 송거리 들어와.
And then the Dharma. So the Dharma is the teaching that's taught by the Buddha. So all the advices, all the instructions on how to abandon the 10 non-virtuous actions and how to engage in the practice of the 3 trainings and so forth.
그래서 난조 가나 니모 마리바티 난조 마리비숑들 마리바티 니분에서 신초 말로바 라라 모벨로들에 대 갑대장에도 니분에서 신초 말로바 또 별로들에 이 말이 들어와.
And so, like I said earlier, everything, all the sufferings that we go through is because of not knowing, because of the ignorance, right? So, so ignorance is a mind that doesn't know. So we have to develop a mind that knows in order to eradicate that mind that doesn't know. So the wisdom that realizes emptiness, wisdom that realizes the way the things exist, is the mind, that can eradicate the ignorant mind, the mind that sees the things that exist from their own side.
그러나 단단 가라서 가지 가라서 싸만 나지도 가라서 나왔는지 저거 말하려고 그래서.
So right now, what we, whatever we see doesn't exist the way we see it.
그러와. 근데 이제 다대 간지 땅 위에 내서 신좀 말아봐 또 하고벨로들라 다 죽은 조서라고 그래서.
And so the things do not exist the way they appear to us now. So knowing the mind that knows how the things appear, how the things exist. If they don't exist the way they appear to us, then how does it exist? So the mind which knows that is the wisdom realizing emptiness. So then that is the actual Dharma.
그러나 다 단다 조서 가르나 내 간트에도 배우기래. 전도 배우라 강가 못해. 전도 시금 말아 왔어.
So whatever is written in the text that Geshe is carrying, is written in Tibetan. So you are ignorant to that, right? Many of you. I don't know if all of you are.
다 전도인데 배우도 가디 lok시나 내 미시비 몸바다 세워라 왔어.
And so whenever you have learned to read the Tibetan, then you have eradicated that ignorance of not knowing the Tibetan, right?
근데서 나도 단단 이분에서 강가라 못해. 대 몸에 사벨로도 딩이분에서 신좀 말아봐 또 불러들에. 대 남절했잖아. 이분에서 자랑도 신경 와서 봐.
And so so we are ignorant to the things of how they exist, right? So when we understand how they exist, then we have eradicated that mind which doesn't know how they really exist.
텐지게 다 가서 텐지게 로트 가디 질랐잖아. 텐지게 로트라 죽은 좀 원해서 봐. 아니 따뜻히 용모다 자원 건이 신경 대해서 봐.
And so the mind that knows the reality, the mind that knows how things exist, the mind that understands the emptiness. So that is emptiness directly. That is the actual Dharma. And so when we have developed that, then when we have developed that mind, then that can actually free us from the sufferings.
텐지 가다 뒤지지 먹여와 좁으면 좀 안에 사와서니 냠nen들라 안에 죽은 줄라고 그래서.
And so that practice, of the 3 trainings, the 10 abandon the 10 non-virtuous actions, and of course, especially the wisdom, realizing emptiness, and so forth. So those are called the actual Dharma. Those are the Dharma refuge, a Dharma jewel, a Dharma refuge, and that's the actual refuge.
아니 텐지 연대 영에 강다들라 안에 괜히 괜찮을라고 그래서.
And then a person who has that kind of knowledge, so a person who knows how things exist, a person who understands the emptiness directly, that person is called a Sangha.
그래봐. 담보 상제 세야시와 되게 주대 주냐들을 받아 견디 차서 왔어. 다 텐지 견디 되게 주냐들을 받아 양 상제 야차라고 그래서 봐.
So the first came the Buddha, so Buddha taught the Dharma, and then through practicing Dharma, then the person becomes Sangha. Right? And then Sangha, practicing even furthermore, then becomes Buddha.
Understand? 그래봐. 나도 담보 개개게 말랍 그래봐. 개개게 랍자데 소소고 냠내 노래 잡아도 주마 소소한 개개 야차라고 들으자고 그래서 봐.
And so just like the teacher teaches the students, and then student studies, and then student becomes teacher again. Right? Just like
Right? How many teachers here? School teachers? No teachers? Anyway, okay. It doesn't matter. Anyway. How many engineers? Engineer? Oh, he's engineer there. Then he's a engineer in the Tambo, Gegela, then the Suzulo, and the Shumaso engineer Chasomar was.
So same with the engineer also, right? So first you depend on the teacher, and then teachers, the lessons, and then through studying those lessons, then you become engineer, right?
Then Tambo Sanji choose on Chunamli Chimbala, then the Tindi Yamli Chandra Gendi, then the Sadia Chanukures, Tango to Cheodas.
And so first, Buddha taught the Dharma, and then through practicing Dharma, then person becomes Sangha, then through practicing even furthermore, when the person has completed all the practices, then the person becomes Buddha.
Then the Taya Sanji said the Tarimborsha, and Gendi that choose a Tarimon, the chairs came and do a pen to the Marang to train it was.
And so we might say that Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, they are very far away. There's no way they can help us, right?
And it Sajing to choose Sonshar, not Kadin and the Sanim Pembanima, Sanima, the Salaba, Satavala, the Kanga Sanji, Labja de Resro.
And so here, what we are studying at the center here, almost every day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday and Sunday, something. So all these teachings that we're studying here is the Dharma, right?
Tendegi Chunyam channel and Magi Chiboget some song is, Lava some yam the language on the locus.
And so you have to one has to practice all these teachings that is being taught, and especially observing, we call it observing the morality of abandoning tendon and virtuous action. And so that is very important. And then with that, engage in the practice of the three trainings. So the first starts with the morality of observing abandoning tendon and virtuous actions.
And then Magi Chiboget through the song. Then it's also same day. Ding on the swing the park, and Roma just same double job. And then Sharab Jelavi, even at the Shinja Malo by the time of Shibachin, can you allow some yam the name? They don't go to Chego, they can so that Chukajo.
So these three trainings are very important. So first you have to have the morality. So morality is a discipline, right? Discipline in your mind, saying this, I can do this, I cannot do. I'm supposed to do this. So your mind, is disciplined. So when you know that, then when you discipline your mind, then you can put the mind, to focus on the things in a single-pointed way. So that's the concentration, right? So through morality, then comes the concentration. So if you have the concentration, then through meditating on that object, whatever you're, concentrating on, then you will be able to gain the realization. And so the wisdom, understanding, the realization of the wisdom, understanding, emptiness, comes from concentration and morality. So following these three practice of the three training is very important.
Magewachi Shaula Shubala, Magewachi Shebas, Magewachim, them joined by Shin, Magewachim Majibala, Gewachis and
and so, of course, just abandoning the 10 and virtuous action, is practicing virtuous action. So you understand the 10 and virtuous actions are bad, and then you abandon them. So abandoning that is called, practicing virtues. So you all know what are the 10 and virtuous actions, right? So 10 and virtuous actions like three created through our body, like killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct or adultery. And so if we do that, then that is creating 10 and virtuous action, and the non-virtuous actions through our body, and also it's going against the law of the country also, right? And then there are four, through our speech, there's lying, slandering, harsh words, and idle gossiping. So if you engage in any of those verbal activities, And so that's about the Dharma, right? And then the Sangha, so actually, like I said, Sangha is the person who has that realization of direct realization of emptiness. So that person is the actual Sangha, the real Sangha, right? But there is also like conventional Sangha, and the Sangha that we can take refuge in also. Conventionally, we can say that a group of 4 fully ordained person, fully ordained monk or nun, is Sangha also.
But we don't find that kind of Sangha here. The US do go to Inaya. That chance on our Sunday, Kaji, should be that dog. Not when Yam do Ruchi, check out the dog, that should be that dog, get the kitchen, the Shisha was.
And so the actual Sangha, the Sangha, why we take refuge in the Sangha is because the Sangha can help us, right? Sangha can help us to, share the knowledge, help us to do the practice and so forth. So in the community, all the members, are, helping each other in that way, right? Sharing the knowledge, helping each other to do that practice and so forth. And so therefore, you can consider that as a Sangha.
Oh, do chine. And it tango Sanjay, Chu Genita, Tesako.
So now you have some idea about what the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha are, right?
Sanjay is a tiny butcher, some down Marisra. Narduji, Sem Yomo, the Kadi Trasuna, and then Sanjay is a Chasamores.
And so the Buddha, the Buddha is not far away from us. And so our, the Buddha, ourself becoming Buddha, can happen anytime when we're free from these obstructions. Right? When we're free from the obstructions, when we have gained all the knowledges, then we become Buddha. So we ourselves, become Buddha, right? Because we all have that potential, to become Buddha. So we call it Buddha nature.
Sanjay, any Tanyamle Chinese.
So the only reason why we are not Buddha is because we didn't practice, right? And so Buddha became Buddha through practicing, and we remain as sentient beings because of not practicing.
Labda chicken love to Chonga Yana, Chonga the Lobjon Kangi Hatapada Yosina, Kanga Shuma Kevachaga was. Kashi Kajin Teptoja Dedana could Karlo to Kevachagamar was.
For example, in a school, if there are 15 students, if they all study, well, then they will all graduate, right? And if some study well and some didn't study, some didn't study at all, they just hang around all the time and didn't study at all, they will not be graduated, right? And so the reason why they didn't become graduate is because they didn't study.
Therefore, Buddha really graduate. He study. We doesn't study. We still stuck here. All the Sanjay Chu Gendi said that they invited.
So anyway, so those are the 3 objects of refuge: the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha.
Then Sanjay go so to you said that she Mishiva, La Mishiva invited.
And of course, then there are these qualities of the Buddha's body, Buddha's speech, Buddha's mind. That's those that are unfathomable. So it cannot even be like it's even difficult to express with the words.
And Sanjay Ki Tempeseto, Sensible such a tiny pages of Dachise, and then Songa Soyala Duchise. That took Takalon, Kaji, Ki Kajula Tujito, 2 Kajulas, and a gas Tujishava, the Kajeta, Kozo to you, and the Tachini, on the Labganachin, Lamashi, or embrace.
So, Buddha's qualities, of the body, speech, and mind. So, just to be, rough, qualities of the Buddha's body. So that we call it the 32 major marks and the 80 minor marks. So those kind of marks that Buddha has on his body, that adorns, his body, and that attracts, the beings, and of course that helps the beings to to become like him or to practice Dharma and so forth, right? And so those are the qualities. And then there's the qualities of the speech. That's one of the main qualities is that he can speak, one language and different beings will understand in their own languages. So even if he speaks one, and Spanish will understand Spanish, hear in Spanish language, and the Chinese will hear in their Chinese language like that. So that kind of quality, that no matter how many people are there, he will be able to speak, teach in a way that they will each understand in their own language. So even though he is speaking in one language, but all these the myriad beings in that audience will hear in their own languages.
What? Then Sanjay said that Nitop Chambo, Niba Chambo, Shu Chambo, and Kola Capsule, the pain of career, 펜도 도시라 고로스.
And so then he's 투기 라서. 투기 가서.
다투다 가서
투기네.
투 대서부터 땡이 된서 간지. 다 연대 섬지 못 잡아 이러서 해서.
And then the mind, is of course, he has all these different qualities, but the one thing is that he's omniscient, right? So that which benefits others a lot. Of course, all of them benefit, but the one thing impressive about the mind is that he knows everything exactly as they are, right? So no matter how far you go back, you will know that. Even if it happened like billions and trillions, of eons before, he will know that exactly, and he will know exactly who's what and so forth. So knowing the omniscient, that's the biggest, one of the biggest quality of his mind, and so when you find somebody with that kind of qualities, then it is a worthy object of taking refuge.
어들이다 지름 보치야 아니 다 산지 대에 돈 발라나메 바래 마발라나메 바래 소모레 들어와 돈 발라나메 바래 에마 돈바 에마 잡스 돈 발라나메 바니 아니 돈 발라나 오카레 잡라나메 바래 아니 건 마발라나메 바래 들어와 임베지데 갈나 땡진 저완 저 소와 연자 아니 ene kar chabla na me vejide karna ranin jiba da dole trawa jen jiba na me tawang ke bare te da chabla na me pares mawala na vejide karna ani tenjin rowan ju ten shi mal wa somanza ani mawala na me pares wa temba tala shanta yi songdri res.
And so in the praise of dependent rising, Lama Tsongkhapa said that he take refuge. He said he should take refuge in
Emma chapa Emma chap Emma tomba Emma chap
to that peerless teacher and to his peerless speech, and because he's a peerless teacher because he is free. He's a teacher who's free from all the sufferings himself. And to his peerless speech, which teaches about the reality, about the emptiness and so forth. And to that peerless teacher who teaches a peerless teaching, to that teacher I take refuge. So that's referring to Buddha Shakyamuni or Buddha, fully enlightened person. And so, of course, then we want to know what kind of benefits are there if we take refuge in that kind of being.
아니 잡수 손음 주지나 동섬대야 너도 주스러와 잠소 추보 치에 퍼지 잡아 가라니 했을 때 다시 말 빼래스러와 아니 잡수 손음도 주그러워 지나 다 남벌리 전에 다 동섬 내 주지래 돼 쇼거 말해서 안으로.
And of course, we will see if we take refuge in that, in that kind of person or being, then we'll be protected, definitely, right? So then also, in a way of taking refuge, when we make prostrations, or take say requesting prayers and so forth to that Buddha, then the merit that we accumulate from doing that, from saying that, is unimaginable. If we were to have, if that merit were to have a form, then this world would be too small to fit it, like that.
좋아. 아니 잠소 추워 치에다 페페나 잠소 등한도 직 내려 쥐네 파 쉬어야 나가도 쉬어 타고 말어 대치 바래 들어와.
And so the amount of merit is so much that there's no way you can pour it out. Yeah? So if you try to pour out the water from the ocean with a ladle,
can you finish?
And you'll never be able to finish it, right? So it's just like that.
두 때는 치워지 그래. 다 된리게 지 손음 치보다 당한도 잡치와나 아니 배도로 가든나 아다 단다 잡다 들이 잡잖아 니마 들이네 아니 제가 나와 사지와다 다 잡스 바래스 나와 사지와 차서 바래스.
And so the moment, so one of the other benefit is that moment you take refuge in the Buddha Dharma Sangha, then you become a Buddhist.
그러와 아니 제가 잠주 매와였나 아니 가지 오다 대처받지 아니 다 딕동 nga sabado chazon tan chochen ro kana de bakanga ta ro res 다들 야보이 트나래 되고 삼반남도 응원이 타는 신나 생겨 들어.
And so when you take refuge honestly, from the depth of your heart, then that also purifies a lot of negative karma. Just by taking refuge in the Buddha Dharma and Sangha, a lot of your negative karmas created since beginner's time will be purified.
그러와 아니 촌이 라부지 사가래스 손은 것도 이시 촌이 달 라부지 싫어 사는 거래스.
And you also accumulate the accumulation of the merit and accumulation of wisdom easily by taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha.
아니 지금 내가 단 다도 그 지금 다 내와도 소신에 나 내가 기도가 말해서 봐.
And you will not be harmed. You will not be harmed by the others, others like spirits and so forth, in the short term or in the long run.
그러고 아니 내 자갈이야 아니 룩소들에서 다 메들에 녀바단서 말아 메데 공단 대 공도 다 들여놓으라 받게서 그러고.
And so there was a custom in India where a person would be punished to spend the night in the cemetery.
아니 대니 당은 지금 다 메데 소소 시나치 아니 대니 지금 다 아니 뭐마에 되는 거 산이다 세놓고 그러고.
And then and so normally the person would be killed by the fear of the spirits or by eaten by the other wild animals and so forth. So that's around the cemetery.
아니 대니 집에 가려야 아니 매직이야 아니 개념식 다 두전에 그 반시된 당황이 말해서 봐.
So one time there was this lay practitioner who was punished to spend the time at the cemetery in the night.
아니 그라 겐데게 남산들이식 아니 코로나 기어다 다 대주보 삼선에 대잡전에 대하네 그것들도 지금 내가 지금 맞다고 말해서.
And then he had a piece of a robe from a Sangha that he carried, and he was thinking about all the time taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and that he was protected. He wasn't harmed by the spirits or the animals and so forth.
어디 아니 니마치한 로바직 아니 아무 제무사다 약기로 제무가 섬네 세도죠 아니 그 현도신 되다 말해서 현도신에 되네 그다 아니 잠로 된다 말해서.
And there was one time the nomad, who was attacked by a yeti, and he pretended as his dead and then recited refuge prayers.
어떤데다 아니 대전에 아니 단다 예티데 공지 고마서 가지고 그런 거 선반 예원도네 아니 진짜 많이 말까 아니고 다와 말해서.
And then the yeti, didn't harm him, and then he was free from the fear of being eaten by yeti.
다 데려오면 아니야 지금 삼바바지라야 아니 뮤직 다 매화지 배워야 말했어 대꾸마지는 돈에는 그 건단한테 끝마치 많이 말했어.
And then there was this another story that a retreater, a person who was sitting doing a retreat, was offered some kind of valuable thing, by a worshipper and by a devotee. And then there was this thief, who witnessed that, who saw that, right? So being offered, and then he thought of stealing that valuable thing from the person who was doing the retreat.
아니 건다 틀렘 다 녀도 아니 꾸마들 레바 말했어. 꾸마들 레바 아니 티 삼바데 꾸마들 라바가 쓰섬네. 아니 콜라 반시 담아 말했어.
And then that night, then the thief came to steal. So the retreater is in the cave, right? And so he only has a small window opening, so then and that's very small space. So the thief put his hand inside and through that hole on the wall to reach for that valuable thing.
아니 되네다 어는 삼바데 고 섬네. 다 라마라 잡음죠. 사절라 잡음죠. 출라 잡음죠. 겐들라 잡음죠. 간지 그 점도 싸기세 콜라 녀바데 따네는 땅셔 버렸어.
And then this retreater saw this hand coming in, so he held his hand. He saw that. He knew that it was the thief, who was trying to steal. So he held the hand of the thief and then beat it with his mala, and then reciting, "I take refuge in Buddha, I take refuge in Dharma, I take refuge in Sangha," and then let him go.
아니 그 배전에 다 안에 남주 다 메마에 돼서 받은 로사가 삼바지 오면 뒤올 거 투셔 말했어.
And then of course he ran away, and he was passing under the bridge, and it says that in the night on that bridge, the spirits, the demons, will cross over that bridge, and he was underneath that bridge.
아니 그 라와 당군이 짬다 가로 점도 숨어지면 따다 싱아지는 땅 같으리 근데 다 시야라래 시야도 그런 게 다 샘나 람데 대와이 말했어.
And so at that time, usually if there are any beings around, then they will be, harmed or eaten by the demons. And that night, when he was there, what the Lama said. He said, "Oh, that was a very painful beating. It was so lucky that there were only three. Only three objects of refuge. And if there were more, then I would have been dead." He felt like that. So while he was thinking about those three objects of refuge, then he got protected, from being eaten by the demons.
And 맞아 되는 삼바딩아 공다티 티 공다들아니 다 마마이도 파든 로마도 와 말이지. 내기 난니 봐.
And so because of his reciting that, and that while thinking, there were only three of them, otherwise he would have been killed, he would have been dead. That, and just because of that recitation, the demons, the spirits were not able to, cross over that bridge that night.
오다다 대다 되는 왜 답이 가래 가서 다 편해. 들들이 종을 다 로지모 보셔라 이래서 와.
So there are many stories like this, which explains about the benefits of taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha.
그래서 다 오늘 전에 지나기 때 다 샘틴의 대화 전에 잡으셔나 다 같이 전화 내고 주고 말해서 와.
So those are the temporal benefits, right? So you'll be temporarily, relieved from all those kind of sufferings. So if you take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, then you will not be inflicted by those kind of harms and sufferings.
아니 연대가 맞지와 사드 지와 배도 이래서 와.
And of course, you take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, then it will also help you to generate the knowledges that you have not generated before.
아니 톱 삼아서 다 냠가 말해서 와.
And those that were generated will not be not decline.
아니 다 릭세그래 가도라 산지 릭세다 가도는 릭세요 말 릭세와 편해서 와.
And they do also help to activate our Buddha nature.
아니 산지 공부녀도 톱 그래서.
And then of course the last quality, best quality is that you will achieve enlightenment. You will achieve sort of full enlightenment if you take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha.
아니 돈바데 가지 토바나 아니 대내 손에 저랑 그지 산지가 연대 차서 가르지기나 다 돈바데 가래 잠도 잡아나 아니 대내 산지가 지 다 돈바데네 간절렘바나 간지 되게 떼나고 마다나고 잠도 돼 말했어.
So once you have taken refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, then that becomes the basis, for receiving all kinds of vows in the future.
그냥 아주 사실라 때니 만도 뜻이 나들 신가 차도 사일데 제거로 대도 직발에 산지가 연대 차도 다 잠로들 때네 마사 잠로들 제거했어.
So just like all the plants and trees grow by depending on the earth, just like that all the vows and the qualities all grow from depending on the refuge, taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha.
어떻게 되는가? 어다다 편란한 매봐. 템바란 주비 거다 막 잠로스. 주비 거라 돼 말해서 템바란 주비 거 잠로스.
And so that's the gateway of engaging in the practice of the Dharma.
와 태와 쳔물한 주비 거다 봐. 아니 샘체서 그래서 와.
So the taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha is the gateway of the practicing Dharma, and the generating bodhicitta is the gateway of the practicing Mahayana Dharma.
아니 냠내는 거 동안 가왔나는 저와 맞다 봐라 레전드 되는 것도 그래서 나도 그래서.
And the gateway of the practice in general is the death and impermanence, contemplation of the death and impermanence.
그러와 어떻게든 땅에 잠로서야 됐다 빼 무슨비가 하중이 다 자와 첨보 아니 변독 첨보 아니 다 들이 힘받으러와.
And so the great benefits like that, of taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha.
그러와 다들 잠로도 첨만야 telaya lab자들이 제초와도 제마초와도 요래서 왔어서 맞잖아요 변독 말했어.
And just by taking refuge, just by saying I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in Dharma, I take refuge in Sangha, you will not be protected from the sufferings, right? You have to follow the precepts of the refuge.
그러와 안에 telaya 소수 lab자는 토모가 lab자 니요 그래서 와.
And then there's a general advice and a general precept of all three objects of refuge, and then there's a particular precept of each object of refuge.
안에 telaya develop자 가벨lab자 니요 그래서 와 소수 lab자들.
And then there are things that you should do and things that you should not do.
그러와 안에 develop자로 제와야나 다 산지도 있는데 다 산지가 꼰다 차차 연출해야지. 다 산지에 시샤나 소소라 소놈 사고 그래서.
So once you have taken refuge in the Buddha, what you should do, or what you have to do, is that you have to regard, all the images and the statues of the Buddha as the Buddha, as actual Buddha.
그러 소소라 대화 예와예나 아니 파초병원에 따지 니바 요네만 소소 저놈도 더고 그러더라고.
So if you have a faith in your mind, then whether the other person have the power or not, you receive the blessings.
아니 좀더 올라와나 내마야 다 변해야 배다 배에 미사도 special 대화 좀 해봐라더라고.
And for the example of the story about that, there was this the Tibetans usually are very faithful. I mean not faithful in a sense like they have a strong faith in the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha.
아니 딱 감수네야 다 아마존에 보시면 버디에는 라살라야 아니 좋은 지가 쳤네 아니 아메 다 저랑이 라사 들어가나 아니 나라 대회 때라야 아니 다 산지게 리서치 기슈스 라와 임바레스 볼라 아니 대라다 간지 보마레 와들 야가 치마지 아니 보마레네 아니 아마 감바 도요가 아니 신이고 트라마 티고 젠다 트라마지 와임바레스 다시는 오 아명한테 그 땅에 져서 아니 코 야도 좀 봐줘대 봐줘더라야 치신이 다 디가 나라야 아니 소들 하대요 말은 소들 출래 아니 치다다 고시한 거를 틀네 아마 딴데 산지가 리스리스 그다 다 마이 들어와 그 아말 잡아 말이지.
And so there was this son, who goes to India for trading, for business, for trading. And every time, the mother will ask him, oh, you're going to India, you can find a relic there. Can you please bring a relic, every time when you come back? And then he said, okay. So he forgot, and then next time he went again, and he forgot. And then at the end he said, you better bring that, otherwise I'm going to kill myself. Like that, So he was so scared. Then again at the end, even at the last time when he was coming back, he totally forgot about it. And then when he reached, he was about to reach home. When he saw his house, and then he remembered what his mother said, and he said, "Oh, I better get something, otherwise she's going to kill herself." And then he was looking around, and then he saw this dead body of a dog, and it's a rotten dead body of a dog, and then he plucked the teeth from the dog, and he wrapped it in a silk, and then he gave it to his mother, saying, "This is a relic."
당연히 굉장히 질 소리나 아마라 대화 있는 아니 아메 다 대라 대화진 좋아 배울 때니 아니 랭스 몸을 좋아해 말이지.
And it's from the relics, if you keep the relics and very clean and you pray to it all the time, then it will grow, and from one relic there will come more relics, So that's what happens, to the relics, And when the son gave, to the mother, the mother totally, believed, had a faith, believed that this is a relic, and then she put it on the altar, and then she prayed to it every day, and then eventually, then there's a real relic, grew from that, from the dog's tooth. So that's through the power of her faith, in the relic.
어떻게다 아니 라메 신럽 쳐다 중이라면 라라라레스 라메 신럽 쳐면지다다 라메 원에 말레스 다 산지 원에 말이다 소소 대화를 통해서 라비오레서.
And so even though it was not holy object, but because of her faith, it turned into holy object. So you can get the blessings of the holy object if you have a faith. So that's why they say that how much blessing you're going to receive from the Lama doesn't depend on the Lama. It's not like the Lama is powerful, so he can give you a lot of blessing, Or it's not like or the Lama is not very powerful and doesn't have much knowledge or realization, therefore you're not going to receive blessing. It's not like that, That's how we consider, but that's not how it is, And so it said that whether you will receive the blessing from the Lama or not, it depends on how faithful you are, how devoted you are, to the Lama. So even if the Lama is not great, but if you have very strong faith and devotion towards the Lama, then you will receive the full blessing of the Lama.
어떻게 이마다 다가로 다가오면서 어다 데벨라지다 근데자 다 간제 상지기 꼰라 차자인지랑 아주 다 세크레데 야 자침보지 근데 사도 당가는 자식들이 지하면 자산한 산징이게 누시샤고 그래서 샤와나 지나라 산징이게 처럼 주문해서 그래서
And so so like that, so you should keep that kind of strong faith and devotion towards all the Buddha's images and statues, just like if it's a Buddha.
아니 추근조 지하 제배가 다 인저 다 특지선질라 아니 추근조 이게 되시잖아요. 다 계십시오 그래서.
And then what you should do after taking refuge in the Dharma is that you should consider all the scriptures, all the textbooks, as the actual Dharma. Even though it's just a material thing, but it has the information, that can free you from all the sufferings. Therefore, you should consider that as the actual Dharma. And he said that even if it's just a single word of a Dharma, you should consider a single letter of the Dharma, and you should consider that as a Dharma.
산지 주지 아니 거
Gindin.
아니 겐디 세야데 다 겐디 그 남자 순절하다 겐딩이 근데 샤워레스로 대전나 소소 배용 그랬어.
And then what you should do, and once Sangha is that you should have a strong, faith or strong respect towards all the sanghas, especially like fully ordained monks and nuns. And when you say respecting them, not even their robes, so you should respect even their robes as them, as the sangha. And so if you find a piece of a robe, a piece of cloth from the sangha's robe, then you should pick it up and put it in a high, respectful place, and consider that as sangha.
단단하도 좀라에 봐 직질이야 아니 겐딩 남자 때듯이다 고 가로 제목인지 빨리 줘 근데 지에서 왔어.
And then also we talked about having a piece of robe, from the sangha, and that protected the person, from being harmed by the spirits and so forth in the cemetery.
어디지? 다들 제거 다제 마셔야 되네 그래서요.
So those are the things that we should do, and then there are things that we should not do.
그러와 당도 산지를 잡순로 와인자 아니 다 산지를 심에다 직된벨 사당 아니 주로 못해 받더라 다 제와 심어 팬베시대 잡순로에 말해서.
And so that once you have taken refuge in the Buddha, is the teacher, right? The Buddha. Then you should not take refuge in other teachers, the other teachers who teach other different kind of faiths, different kind of religions. So you should not take refuge in them to protect you from the sufferings of the future lives.
그러와 아니 시당 가도 다 직된베지 사도 소소 내가가 된된 조약 시당 가도 제 조고요 들어봐.
So of course you can take refuge, or you can seek for help, to relieve you temporarily from the sufferings, like headache and so forth. And you can take refuge in the doctor. You can take refuge in anybody who can give you advice on what kind of medicine you should take, to get better, from the headache and so forth. And then also there are some kind of worshipping, of the gods and so forth, worldly gods, which can temporarily relieve you from some kind of sufferings, like a shamanism and so forth. So this can help you to release, from kind of the diseases, and that is okay. So temporarily is okay, but ultimate, not considering them as ultimate refuge or an object of refuge.
근데 대갑 준서 다 memang도 권위적인데 와서 다 산지기 대방간도 다 가로 이실랑간도 가실랑간도 라간도 좀 때문에 말해서 와. 돈들 잡순로 줘다 있나다 소소 제와 심어 팬베시도 잡순로야 말해서.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that you can't go to, churches and the temples, like Hindu temples, the Muslim temples and so forth. It's not like that. So you can go there. You can pay respect, because there are great beings there also, right? Who have helped. So you can appreciate, you can rejoice and so forth. You can think like that.
네, 다 산지지. 아니 줄라 샵선들 다 섬절라 뇌세 방으로 들어와.
And then once you have, that's about taking refuge in the Buddha, so you should not take refuge in other teachers. And once you have taken refuge in the Dharma, then you should not cause any harm to other sentient beings.
간지 다 섬절라 니 집에 니 제대 루당야 말다 다 된다고 서로. 됐을 거다로.
So you should not give up your compassion towards other sentient beings.
If you give today, tomorrow also you can maybe try to bring back. Today someone give you a very short, hard time, then you lose the compassion that again. Tomorrow you also maybe try to back. 그래다 간지 다 섬절라 뇌세 방으로 쓰라 그래서 만에 산지가 주죠. 겐들 계절라 자선들 다 좀한테 받은 로야면서 없을라 그래서. 근데 되게 좀한테 받은 간지 양아서 남아만이 되는 로초 말라고 말했어. 아니 간지 땜바다 샘질라 너와 찡에 그 된지가 다 조보도 저도 냠는 로야 말라고 그랬어.
And so once you have taken refuge in the Sangha, then you should not accompany, with the non-virtuous friends. So the other friends, who will encourage you to engage in non-virtuous actions, and so forth. So you should not accompany with that kind of persons.
Okay. They're also not talking about, oh, I'm the Buddhist, you are not Buddhist, I'm not going with you. Not like that, okay? Who's checking you to go to the, non-virtuous actions? Well, then there's a don't go there. because you follow them, right? It's true, right? Someone doesn't do smoke, then some other do smoke. Hey, smoke's very good. Come and then try a little bit today, then a little bit, then more, then you become the person to smoke. It's all actions are like that, right? Therefore, don't follow like that kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think that's like that. I think I talk a little bit qualities Buddha, a little bit benefit taking the refuge, then what you have to do, what the suzla ta thamong la jasena ani kadina da sanje kendo ani da karo chuken chuku yente shibe konya kadina tengo res.
And then the general the precept of taking refuge in the Buddha Dharma and Sangha is that once you have taken refuge in the Buddha Dharma and Sangha, then you should always take refuge, right? So they say that throughout day and night, and like six sessions throughout day and night in 6 sessions. So what you do is normally you can do 3 times in the morning and 3 times in the evening. So you take refuge, you recite that refuge formula. And I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in Dharma, I take refuge in Sangha, like that. That one you can recite 3 times in the morning and 3 times in the evening.
Ani kadina ta cheza chetong chopigo res.
And then you should always make offerings of the food and drink that you consume. Before you take it, you offer to the Buddha and Sangha. It says, you offer and then you eat it for yourself. So if you offer, your food will not disappear from your plate. So don't worry about it. So by making offerings, you create the marriage, right? But you still have the food there, so you can eat it afterwards.
And this Savikala yang, and this was Subana Chita, Semja Socha Mambo, Tozola Pembe in Savannah, and Jimado.
And also at the time when you eat the food, if you think that you're, feeding this, food, to the germs inside your body, then also it becomes practice of generosity. And so if we know how to do, then we can make any kind of things that we do, make it into a Dharma practice.
Okay, like that. Then if you like to learn more, then you can study the books they have learned. Then any questions? Maybe take a few questions. Maybe he has a question.
What book did you say again? I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Which book did you say again?
They have a lot of books.
Oh.
Usually we have also Sunday, we call it.
This one here, Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand.
You can.
It has also a detailed explanation about
You can check the outline.
teachings on refuge.
Yeah, you can study that. Then not just what I say, believe, just you can study or you're thinking, it's true or not, It's not just make my own word. I learned them for my teachers, books, then experience, and they were very powerful. Okay? No question? Okay?
Maybe a question about the lay vows.
Oh yeah, I didn't talk the level. We have to talk the level. I forgot. Raju domba nga yo resro. Ane ta sanji chomden de ta kanel loma de la ya. An kona ba shete yo resro. Tina ga genye pamani, genong pamani ro. Misra desar. Genong pamani, genye pamani te shesara kon nam shesana. Ane teneza ta
Gesul?
gesu ba ten de go ma. Kon nam chinala. Genye pamani. Ane genong pamani.
Gesul ga also.
Gesu ta genong na ya ro. Kon nam shesana genye te ndo. 남지 장원음 씨가 도만 나면 걸었다. 개념도 없잖아. 고남 씨가 상도도 송도. 대사 대사 다.
라주나 번이 란스 버전.
아,
라주나 번이.
말하는 놈이 말이야. 고남 씨도. 고남 씨.
맞다. 라주나 번이다. 근데 개념나 번이.
마만 고남 씨. 고남 씨. 고남이나 대생도 고남 차상 상하노. 당보 지나고 걸라 개념도 말고도.
대사 라도 좀 알아다. 이제 다 결론대 알아도 좀 알아. 계속 알아도 좀 알아.
내가 좀 고남 씨 정도.
네. 맞다. 대군이 라주니라. 안티나시 때문에 개념이여라. 개념들 앞 좀 알아.
라주마다 콘도 티다한테 고남 씨 때문에 라주 지금도.
대가. 대 코로나 시스템 되는 결론이다. 결론 파만이다.
개념 파만이.
그래. 나 좀 파만이 라잖아. rabju pamani lana tanda gelongda gesu samatsudo warde.
Geno pamani, and gesu pamani loro.
Ma gesu rabju pamani lana tanda gesu da gelong samatsudo wara.
Te pajilagamento, kanji kornam shidna, geni pamani, geno pamani. Treta kanji kornaba shinangi, ta nganzo le pibola, ta nganzo micha pomola chia dinanga kanji, ta geni pamaseta, nganzo tomalan yoros.
So they're talking. Normally we talk about the four kind of disciples. The four disciples and of the Buddha. Four kind of disciples of the Buddha, and so the four are the two ordained. The two ordained male and female, and then the two ordained lay male and female. So ordained here we'll be talking about the monk and nun, right? So male will be monk and the female will be nun. And then there's the lay practitioner. So there's two male and female lay practitioners.
There
are some people who expressed interest to take lay vows.
And
there are five vows, the five lay vows. So if you take the lay vow, then you get into those four kind of disciples. And so, normally His Holiness, when he gives initiations, he will give also lay vows. So then, because he says if there are complete, four kinds of disciples in the audience, then that would be very good. And so there are five vows, the five lay vows, those are abstaining from the four roots and the alcohol. And then that's because it's a complete lay practitioner. A complete lay practitioner is a practitioner who has kept, who is keeping all five vows, all five of the vows.
And so yang tina ke ni pangi ane som pangi shi pangi dara yong yores so kele so kari kele don le cho yores.
And then there's called the complete lay practitioner, and then there's one type lay practitioner, or then the various type lay practitioner. So that means one type means like abandoning only one of the five, keeping only one of the five lay vows, and the various one is keeping some or most of the lay vows, not all of them, but most of the lay vows.
And that is a march I can't
And so many people choose to be a complete lay vow, a lay practitioner.
And that's our so cheap Majiba Lemba Loyams.
And so the four roots are the killing, stealing, and adultery.
So cheap Majiba Lemba. Mozanga.
Loyamche.
Zun. Teshiro. Tani tikala chang.
So the four roots are killing, stealing, and adultery, and telling lie. So those are the four roots. And then on top of that, then abstaining from drinking alcohol, intoxications.
And then loyam said the kanji sosola chik choga jeme to yoshimingani and Mishamanaman, the loyam chandore. That's all they love to go to.
So especially for the lay, adultery, is the one. So we do normally when we talk about the monk and nun, then we can also say sexual misconduct. So any kind of sexual conduct, for lay and for the ordained person is against their vow, but for lay is not. If you are having in a proper way with the right partner, then it's okay. But if while you are married, if you if you indulge in sexual activity with other person than your own partner, your husband or wife, then that becomes adultery.
Okay.
And so here also the killing, the killing is not allowed. So here, the killing again is depending on, it's referring to the killing of human beings. So accidentally killing other things, that's not considered as killing here. And no stealing.
아니 준샤요 말았어. 마위샤요 말았어.
Not adultery, so we talked about that, and no telling lies.
근데 대양 다 시찬이 무줄라면 준샤요. 다 소소고지 똑바면나 똑바여는도 즉
So not just any kind of lie, you know. If you tell small lies, and then that's okay. But here, the lie is that breaks your vow is referring to the lying about superhuman nature powers, like superhuman nature powers. That means like, saying that I can fly in the sky, or I can sink in the ground, or I can, tell what's in your mind, I can tell what you're going to be born as in the future life, so that kind of things. So saying that you have those powers when you don't, that's the lie that we're talking about.
하나 들려지나 미문 고건 되는 거였을 때 문고고 그러was.
So you tell that kind of lies to deceive other people, right? So when you tell that kind of lies, and then you will be deceiving many people, therefore that's considered as bad.
다른다 다 준마시면 준칙 샤와라 준칙이 바꿔야 치도 준 자식이 그랬어.
And so normally, it is not good to tell any kind of lie, but especially telling that kind of lie is very bad because it's deceiving other people. And they said that if you tell lie, then you always have to tell lie. So to cover one lie, you have to tell 100 lies.
그거 tänka로 소치바 뭐지발렘바 아니 로임라서 로와
준도 없어 창라다.
아니 창세야데 가래 창 동할 때는 다 니바만 못 태워서 단 창다 줘 맞으라 그래서.
And so there's the intoxication, as alcohol, drinking alcohol. So if you drink alcohol, then that will, take away your senses, and then you will be engaging in all these things, bad things, especially bad things, that you will be doing, without knowing.
근데 다 네반로에나야 믹스 땅도 셴 가지 돈바 시원은 다 조금 매워래서.
So once you have taken taken the vow to not drink, then you should not drink at all. So if you drink, then it becomes against your vow. So you're breaking your vow, and then there is a serious negative karma. But there is an exception. If you are sick and you have to take the alcohol for medication, then that's accepted.
근데 돈바 렘비 가라야 나 지금 이제 렘이 니만 다 되는 사람이 말 가서 나서 되갈라야 다 돌림 못 치니 들어와. 그래서 삼나 도마친 깨가 말라고 렘비 가블라 차선 랭이에서 아니 다 손비 가블라 아니 소소 가서 손도 들으신 제거를 라고 되었어. 렘비 가블라 차선 말는 깨가 말스.
가데스.
네
sanada는
지기 원나서 가서인데 돌림 못 쳐야 된다.
콜라.
살아도 쳐야 된다. 렘비 가블라야 아니 게 따칭 뭐지 랭이 님은 전 깨가 말했어. 아니 렘비 가블라다 차선 랭고래서 아니 손비 가블라 아니 소소 도치 소한테 얘기하려고 들으신 딱 거기서 다노도 찍는다. 근데 걔들어도 그래 때문에 거기서 찍 말했을 때
안에 그 물건 연습 거란다. 물건 연습 거래.
그래서 넘발 랜드 갈라야 아니 즉 가려는데 차선 랜드 맞지나 아니 조각으로 찍 말했어.
그렇지.
근데 따지 랜드 그는 고쪽으로 올라가도 아니 차선 랜드면 아니 찍 말도 넘발 그런 거 어떻게 찍었어.
맞아. 윤전도 믿었잖아.
맨나 결혼도 말어이나 아니 겐디까지 캠보코랑 미자이나 되게 메게 랭이 되게 맛이나 랭이 되게 아니 캠보된 캠보인 삼바지 캠모니 지금 미자에 봐나 그 겐디 트랜스포는 당그레스 그 도말랜다고 가까이서
가서 결혼도 벌랑해들라.
미자이나 그 메게 랭이 되게 아무거나 거기 말스 상가도 그 겐디 트랜스포 그랬어 건도가 그런 로도 들었어
결혼도 만나게도 미자이나 되고.
미자이 봐나 담이기 도말랭이지로 디 가고야 말스 디 그런 거다 캠보인 바 다시 민원이 근데 그런 미자이 봐나요 아니 제 가는 도마 제사대 겐디다 지금 캠보다 제거 말스
되더라도 있나 남게질랑 거치 거로 유바다.
메시다도 좀더 제바도 고고리나 들랑도 남게면 그런 도마 제사군이 겐두선 제거랬어
결혼도 못 나와드는 것도 결혼 시고라서 되는 게죠.
대시에서 랭이 겐두이로 소리 로파이라 콘돌라게 캠보들라게 말아 배나 예외라 뉴쇼 아니 다골라 주스랑도 가져다 너와 그런 로단이 들어가대 그래서 다 괜히 돈 받으려면 갈라야 아니 자동 속에서 몇 그런 매와 있나 아니 너무 그렇고 돕고 말했어
랭게선 사면 송아대 다 송아제
랭게선 몇 그런 매와 있나 자동 랭게선 랭 그런 매와 있나 이 지금 지면 님을 랭면서 나 전에 제가 말했어
그래서 다 랭귀 렌도 가 랭귀스 삼바체.
삼바치.
송도 그나 다 게
렌디 좀 가치야 말해서 지글랭 이래가 마스마치 다 개노도 개념도 랭귀 삼 그런도 고르스 다 소미 삼말라 아니 소소 갈 송톱때 다친 송고레스 렌디 가블라 양가 인지 랭귀 지글랭 같은 좀 제가 말했을 때라고도.
So when you're taking the lay vow, so you have to think that I'm taking lay vow, right? So you shouldn't be thinking that I'm taking this lay vow, I'm not taking that vow. You shouldn't think like that. You just think in general, I'm taking lay vow, right? But then when you say what I'm going, those vows that I'm going to keep, I'm going to keep this and this. So I'm going to keep this one. I'm not going to be able to keep this, so I'm not going to, keep this. So I'm going to keep only this. These are the ones that I can keep, so I'll keep these ones. Then you can choose like that. But at the time, it doesn't, that's what I was, clarifying with Geshe-la about when you take refuge, or when you take a vow. So they said that you have to think that I'm taking all the vows. But when you're keeping, then you have to think that I'm going to keep this and I'm not going to keep this. So that kind of contradicts there, right? So instead, when you're taking, you take all them, but then you keep only some of them. Yeah? And so
You're admitting to yourself, it's like, I can really keep these vows really well.
Yes, right.
But this one, I'm not
Not sure, so I'm not
Yeah.
going to keep. You just say I'm not going to keep, but when you take, you just say I'm going to take lay vows, so all 5 lay vows. I'm going to take all 5 lay vows, but I'm going to keep only this and this.
But you can say, I'm going to try, and even though I can't keep them all, I'm going to try and keep them all.
Mhm.
You should always say to yourself, I'm going to try and keep them all, even though there might be a few that I'm not sure.
답시 지기라는 디그레스. 나다 송야가 답시 지기다.
담보 투 도바제마다. 도바제마 랭귀로 도마 송기 있으면 타로 체. 그러면 제거서 말 도마 그런 모든 이서로서.
맞다. 그러다 나다 내 답시 지기는 땅가 송야 답시 지기라는 디그레스. 근데 동바기 거라게 내가 송기라고 그랬어.
다시 송기라고 해서 제거서 말해.
So when you take a vow, you have to be sure that you're going to be able to keep it, And you can't say, oh, I'm going to try my best to keep it. You can't say, and then you take it. So when you take that, and then you are supposed to keep it. You can't say, oh, I'm going to try my best. So if you try your best and you are not able to keep it, then you are breaking your vows. So when you take it, to keep it, then you keep it. You don't just try it. Yeah.
아니 디 가라야 다 무서워서 빵 있었나? 아니 상속이 있어 저는 그랬어.
And then then also there's a lay vow, where not only just adultery but not engaging in sexual conduct at all. And then if you become, if you take that vow, then you become a celibacy lay practitioner. A celibate lay practitioner. Yeah. So celibate lay practitioner would be one who keeps other vows, and then on top of that, keeps away from so sexual conduct, any kind of sexual conduct. Yeah.
Okay.
Not even with one's right partner. Yeah.
Okay.
Once you take the vows, it's forever for this life, right? Forever in this life. Like you can't take them for.
One day, 2 days.
No, I mean like if you take the celibacy vow or the non-drinking, you can't take it for 1 year or 6 months, and then no. It's
먼저 디세 가서 제거 말더라. 반대라 곧또 맛이 받는 내는 그래서.
So for a lay vow, it has to be for a lifetime. If it's a lay vow of not drinking, you can say it's for, and that's for the lifetime. But you can make your own vow. You say, okay, I'm not going to drink, for 1 year. So you make your vow, and you do not drink for 1 year, then you receive the benefit or create the merit of keeping that vow of not drinking for 1 year. But that's not a lay vow. So for the lay vow, it has to be a lifetime.
하는 간소 대제 소유 동발에 나는 니마직 다 주든지 잡실래요.
So you say just like in the 8 minor precept, we say, from this time till the sunrise tomorrow. I say sunrise tomorrow, and then you keep the vow until sunrise tomorrow. That's it. You can do that.
Okay? Like that. Yeah, okay.
Vegetarian?
No.
No.
If you have is good, welcome. I will like to the but no vows.
It's not a vow, but if you can do, that's good. Encouraged, yes.
Yeah.
Do you have to be vegetarian to take the vow? Right?
Yes, right?
Well, in general. Well,
Do you
yes,
have to be
both, I guess.
vegetarian for
Do I have to be
Buddhism?
vegetarian?
In general,
Yeah.
in general.
No.
Very encouraged.
That's encouraged.
Not so much.
Yes. Okay.
When you break a lay vow, what is the procedure to restore the lay vow?
아니, 다 이자도 그랬어.
맞아, 이제 술래야.
실내 연하면은
지금 냠사서는 단 술래 열에 말았어.
다 대가 하고 면서 아니 간소 양 라주 돈바이나 소소 많이면 갈라 파 피니 냠바이나 출래 열에서 아니 계속도 괜히도 가 하고 면서 간데나
So yeah, not sure about the lay vow. You know,
바지
I'm
족바드나
not
바지
sure if you say okay. So you say I'm not going to kill, but then you happen to kill, right? So if you happen to kill, does that only create negative karma, of breaking the vow, or does that completely break the vow? That becomes like you have no longer a vow. You know, you no longer have a vow. I don't think it doesn't begin with no longer have a vow. It becomes like you breaking a vow. You know, so you break it, but you still have it. So you create the negative karma of having broken it, but in order to in order to purify that negative karma of having broken that vow, then you do the practice of purification. You know, but you still have it. You still. That's right. It's.
Actual processes.
That's right. So yeah, you can do that. But like in the monk's vow, so monks they have a vow not to, so like the celibacy vow, right? So you cannot have a sex at all. So if you have a sex, then you don't have that vow anymore. You no longer have that vow. So especially in the monk and nuns. But if the monk feels that if the monk feels that there's no way he can keep that vow, and he thinks that okay, I'm going to give up this vow, right? Give up this vow, and then he engages in sexual conduct. And in that case, he offered the vow before he engaged it. He didn't break it, He offered back the vow, right? So you can break off so only in monks. I'm not sure if you can offer back the vow, in the case of the lay practitioner's vow, but as a monk, a nun, you can do that. It's okay. So I'm no longer because you offer back the vow, you're no longer a monk or nun. Then after that, if you engage in sexual conduct, then that's fine. So you're not breaking the vow. So in that case, then you can take the monk vow again later. And so then other cases, they're like, if you are a monk and then you didn't offer the vow back, you just broke it by having sex with women, and then you have broken your vow. You broke the vow, you didn't save it, you didn't keep it, you didn't give it back, so you cannot take it. So in that case, you cannot take it back again because you broke it. But in the other case where you give it back and then you engage in sexual conduct, you're not breaking it because you're no longer a monk, right? Because you have already given. And so that is the difference only, But not in the case of the lay person, yeah. So Geshe-la saying lay, you just do the purification practice, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the lay vow, very detailed is possible to take back or not. I don't know.
Yeah,
Logically,
he's not sure, so you can find it on more, but his thinking is like that. Yeah.
Maybe it's logically, maybe we can do like that. But try to not.
Not break, yeah.
Okay. Then I think now we finish. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, if everyone can turn to page 39, please.
Page?
39, sorry, 39. Shouldn't turn around. Jing nam kar trin le kyuk chu ge padang lo sang tan pe drone me sa sum gi dro we mon sao dak tu nek jir chi idam guru ratna mandalakam niryatayami. From my two collections, vows this space that I have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great time of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose mind was blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all my lives, Manjushri. May I find the best of complete graded parts of the teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by practicing. Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings with the points of the path as I have discerned them. May I uphold Buddha's teachings for a very long time, with my heart going out with great compassion in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread, or once spread have declined. May I reel this treasure of happiness and aid. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted as bounteous peace, and that Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time, by even the graded past enlightenment completed, due to the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their children. May all human and non-human beings who eliminate adversity and make things conducive for practicing the excellent paths never be parted in any of their lives from the purest path praised by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes an effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtuous practices, may they always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere. In that snow mountain encircled land, source of every benefit and joy, may Lord Tenzin Gyatso Chenrezig remain in life till samsara's end. Page 49. Short long life prayer for Lama Zopa. You who uphold the subduous moral way, who serve as the beautiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjushna's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplishes magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels, Savior of myself and others, your disciples, please, please live long. Page 57. Prayers of dedication. Through this virtue may I swiftly, having gained Guru Buddha's state, place each and every sentient being without exception in that state. Precious supreme body mind, may it where unborn arise, and where born never decline, but increase forevermore. Page 75. Meek